You're listening to international investment advisor Doug Goldstein on the Goldstein on Gelt show, the financial show where we'll talk about how you can make the most of your money. With all the confusing financial chatter bombarding you each and every day, Goldstein on Gelt will give you the practical information you want and need about living a financially stable life. Here's your host, money maven Doug Goldstein.
Okay, we are back. We are talking to Professor Doug Branson, who is one of the leading experts in corporate governance in the United States. He wrote a book called No Seat at the Table, How Governance and Law Keep Women Out of the Boardroom. And then he followed that book up with another book called The Last Male Bastion, Gender and the CEO Suite. He's the Edward Sell Chair in Business Law at the University of Pittsburgh, and he is joining us today on the Goldstein on Gelt show. Professor, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me, Doug.
Listen, I'd like to start to understand the scope of the issue that you study in terms of women in the position of CEOs. What percentage of CEOs in the world are women?
In the United States, it was 3% a year ago. It's fallen. We've had 6 resignations and only 1 replacement, so we're down to 2%. We probably lead the world. It's 1% or less. Most countries, in Germany and Japan, it's 1, not percent, person. So it's pretty low.
Okay.
Everywhere you go.
So what does this mean?
What does it mean? It means that women have been promised equality, parity for 30-some years now. They've been going to the business schools and the graduate schools and law and other fields, but they only rise so far. About half the middle managers in major companies are women now, but senior managers, it's about 7 or 8%. So the glass ceiling, we can never prove directly, but it probably exists, and women continue to bump up against it. There are a number of reasons for that, but I look at this from the social justice standpoint. Other people try and make the business case that more women on boards, more women senior managers will lead to greater profitability, but the studies are mixed. You can't make that case. So I primarily go at it from the social justice standpoint. And I am the father of 2 daughters, so I consider it very important.
Okay. I've got 2 daughters too, but I also have 2 sons, so we want the best for them. So you're saying that the angle that you're looking at this is in terms of social justice, which we could term fairness, meaning that it should be. You're saying that it's fair that half the number of seats in the CEO offices should be women because women are about half the population? Is that what social justice means?
I don't necessarily want parity, but I want a removal of artificial obstacles so that women may wind up with 20%, it may wind up with 70%, but I just want the removal of obstacles in the pathway that would lead women to senior management positions and boards of directors.
You said that there are the other people who look at this problem in terms of a business question, and I think you were suggesting that they mentioned that if women were higher in the business hierarchy, then the companies would be more profitable. Is there perhaps an argument to the opposite, which is that it is just more profitable to have women not represented as strongly?
Well, I don't think that people make that study because it would be politically incorrect. I don't think that they would have any chance of getting that kind of study approved. I've never seen one that makes the opposite case. I've just seen the mega studies, the study of studies, which say there are no convincing studies out there that say board composition, whether it be of women or minorities or other minorities, African Americans, what have you. There's no study that convincingly shows that diversity on a board of directors or in management will lead to greater profitability. But I also think it misconceives the purpose, at least, of a board of directors, which is not to increase profitability, but to act, say, as fog lights would on a car, to sense the possibility of disaster, to replace underperforming or misperforming managers. So the board of directors' role is to evaluate and, if necessary, replace senior managers. Only third or fourth is the priority for them to maybe contribute to profitability, and that would be in terms of long-run strategic planning. And it's pretty hard to find any correlation or prove up any correlation between that and profitability.
I always sort of thought that the board of directors was, in theory, supposed to represent the good of the shareholders, and therefore that the key benefit to the shareholders would be the increase in value of the stock. And so therefore wouldn't the board of directors, whether they do it well or not, wouldn't their interest be to maximize profits?
Well, it's been a yin and a yang, In the 70s and the 80s, the statutes put on the board an affirmative duty to manage the business and affairs of the corporation. About 1980, that was changed to passive voice, and the business and affairs should be managed under the direction of, under the supervision of a board. And then a number of academicians and management writers began saying the board's highest and best use is to monitor and, if necessary, replace the senior managers. Only third or fourth priority is profitability. But then after Enron and WorldCom and some of the other imbroglios, Parmalat in Italy, people began putting boards somewhat back into that management role. So who's to say where we are now? I mean, like anything else, the view of what a board of directors is and should be doing, it changes every decade or two. It kind of morphs in from one thing into another. So I think that there are more people urging that boards take an active management role than there were, say, 15 years ago. But I still think the board's highest and best use is to monitor the managers. And that does indirectly play a role in profitability.
We are talking to Professor Doug Branson, who's an expert in corporate governance. He's written 15 books and about 80 articles on the topic. In fact, he has been a State Department-sponsored consultant on corporate governance outside of the United States, in Indonesia, the Ukraine, Slovakia. So he certainly had a good around-the-globe look at how women are represented in the corporate world. In the Western world, women these days, it seems to me, receive the same educational opportunities as men. They have access to family planning, and they're certainly more capable and emotionally capable of being assertive than in the past. Based on all of that, why would you say that there are still so far fewer females as CEOs?
Well, let's first set up a couple of straw men and knock them down, and then we'll talk about real reasons. One is in Western societies, women speak differently, act differently than men do. Men, as the dominants in our societies, often interpret that as women being more emotional, women being less analytical, women being intuitive. But the linguists have shown, Robin Lakoff at California, Berkeley, Deborah Tannen at Georgetown, that's false. There's no correlation between the way a woman may speak and act. She may use fewer imperatives. She may use conditional verbs. She may use hedges at the end of sentences, like "don't you think?" or "doesn't that seem right?" Whereas a man will say, "we should manufacture X or Y." But the baggage associated with that really doesn't exist. So that's one reason that women haven't advanced that is not a very good reason. Another is childbearing. If a woman limits herself to one child and makes a minimum maternity leave, in the United States she will make 99% of what a comparable male makes in their 40s. If, however, she has two or more children, takes time off for a little extra time for child rearing, say when her children start school, she will make only 60% of what a male makes. But paradoxically, as women go toward the top, they have more and more children. I did a study with Joanne Lublin of the Wall Street Journal last year. Out of 21 women chief executive officers, 19 have children, and the number is 47. And a number of these women have 3 children, and they testify as you reach the top in a business organization, you need your family more than your family needs you, because you need somebody who gives you unconditional love, but also gives you unconditional backtalk and gruff. And and some of these women talk about how Ann Mulcahy at Xerox, where her one son played baseball, the other one ran track. She made it a point never to miss one of their athletic events. And so women opt out because they see this future of they take any more time, they will make a lot less money. But yet then as they get into the senior ranks of management, having a family is more important because it enables them to keep their sense of perspective.
So there's an unusual curve. The curve is that with one child, you can still make money comparable to men. You get a little bit more, then your salary goes down. But then if you want to get to the top ranks, you have to have a bunch of kids. Is that
it helps.
Statistics?
It helps.
Okay.
Some real reasons are sociology. As women go above the middle management rank, they're liable to be a token. They may retreat into stereotypes. They may become the mother figure. They may become the mascot. They may become the clown. They may become what's called the ice queen. And so their true potential isn't as readily apparent as it is with men. When 2 people, women, are present in a work group or at a rank, you think it would be better. It's actually worse because that's called a skewed group, and the dominance in a work center or a particular rank will close ranks and engage in what's called boundary hyphening. It sounds boundary hyphening. This is a woman named Rosabeth Moss Cantor, who's a sociologist but teaches at the Harvard Business School. And she wrote a book in 1984 called Men and Women of the Corporation. So it sounds infantile, but a lot of the feminist writers say 3 or more is the magic number, and I think that's true, but not at the board of directors level. 10 years previous, when women are entering senior management, 3 is the magic number, because if we have those groups in various places, 10 years later, the pool from which women directors and senior managers could be chosen will be much larger. So it's a pool problem. I just got a manuscript from a woman at Duke who wrote about 3 is the magic number at the board of directors level, and she misconceives the argument for a number greater than 2, and that's 15 years earlier, the lower ranks of senior management. That's where women want other women as a support group, as quasi-mentors and the like. You
don't think, Professor, I'm going to stop you there because I see we're just about out of time. It's very interesting. It's interesting not only to study, but the amount of interest that's going on about this. Just in the last moment, could you tell me how people could follow your work or to learn more about the research that you've done?
Well, buy the books. They're on Amazon. I think that there's a lot of research going on. It's a very hot topic with the quota laws in Norway, now in France, now in Spain. With the European economic crises right now, it's kind of moved a little bit toward the back burner, but quota laws are under consideration for Germany, for Italy. I don't think you'll ever see quota laws in Israel probably, or in the United States, or even in the United Kingdom. But there are other things too. Australia Institute of Corporate Directors has started a very interesting mentoring program where chairmen of the board of various companies promise to mentor a woman and put her on a board of a publicly held company. And the number has increased from 8 to 11% in less than a year of women on the boards of publicly held companies in Australia. So there's not a lot of writing or research, but there are a lot of actual feet on the ground movements going on in various places, and I'd say it's a very hot topic in Europe. In the 27 member nations of the European Union, I think it's being discussed in almost all of the capitals.
Wow. Okay, so people will get a good chance to follow up. We've been talking to Professor Doug Branson from the University of Pittsburgh. You can look up his books. The most recent is called The Last Male Bastion, Gender and the CEO Suite. Professor, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Doug.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt show.